guys, it's Sarah Ford with Warming Up with Sincerely Sarah. Thank you so much for all the love that you've shown in my past interviews. I am really excited. I've got a great lineup coming up in the next month of people that I'm going to be interviewing of superstar directors. But today I have Superstar Director Theresa Gauche, and I am thrilled to interview her. Theresa and I met, I don't know, a couple of years ago, briefly at a Star Director Summit approach. And I just love her energy, and I love and appreciate her because she is such an advocate for consultants when it comes to our meetings, and she's just so very business smart, and I really appreciate that about her. So thank you so much, Theresa, for being here and for interviewing with me.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And I'm honored to be here. I'm shocked to be here, but very thankful.
Yeah, well, I absolutely, you're one of my first, I don't know, 10 at least of my interviews. So you were definitely on my list. So I know we talked about it, I don't know, a couple months ago, and then things got kind of busy and crazy. So if you're new here and you've never watched a video before, the purpose of my YouTube channel, Warming Up with Sincerely Sarah, is all about stories of superstar directors, how they found Scentsy and what it's done for them. Also, just so you know, Theresa, I will make sure to tag the income disclosure in the bottom so that whatever we discuss will be covered under that. So Theresa, will you please share with us a little bit about how you found Scentsy and what that looked like for you?
Yes, absolutely. So my husband was in the Air Force. He still works for the Air Force now as a civilian, and we moved from Virginia to Texas. I loved everything smell good, candles, incense, you name it. And one of my neighbors was all into Scentsy. She was having a basket party, and I went to her house and I was like, your house smells so good. How does the whole house smell good? How does your porch smell so good? And she was warming fried ice cream, which smells so good. And so anyway, she gave me her basket party, and I just felt, head over heels in love with the product. And I ordered warmers and, different fragrances, like Grape Granita was a beginning favorite for me. And from that point, I was just buying every single month. I loved my consultant and the energy she brought to Scentsy. She earned trips and shared different things with us. And so that's how I was introduced to Scentsy, by knocking on someone's door here in Texas. But before that, I had never even heard of Scentsy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what year was that?
That was in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did it take for you to join?
It took about a year for me to join. I had no desire to join. I was working in the airline security industry. I had a really nice position working from home. My husband, again, was in the Air Force, so we made, pretty decent money. So I didn't want to join, didn't have a desire to join. The only reason why I joined was by default. My consultant, who I visited every single month, maybe twice a month, to place my orders with or host parties with, was her and her husband were retiring from the Air Force, medically retiring. And I was like, kind of selfishly, like, where am I going to get my stash from now? This had became a way of life for me and whatnot. And I will say that there was one other consultant. We were living on a military base, but she was not very friendly. She was, you kind of see things on social media and spats and stuff. Like, I don't think I want to go through that. So, I could have been a really good customer to her, but I said, you know what, I'm going to join and I'll just place my own orders. I'm not joining for the business or anything like that. If there's anyone in my little circle that wants me to add on when I put mine, I'll just do that. So that was the intent of me joining. And again, it was strictly by default.
So a hobbyist, basically.
Yeah. Was still here and they didn't retire, I would still be her best customer probably. Yeah.
So at what point did that shift for you?
So, okay, I received my kit and I remember just kind of, looking at the kit, looking at the compensation plan and stuff, saying, well, I wonder if I could, just do something on the side, just have a little stash to, you know, save up, have some savings or whatever. And I'll be honest with you, when I looked at the compensation plan initially, not being business minded, I was like, I could never sell this. I could never sell anything. I can't even sell my kids fundraisers. I buy the cookie dough, and the
Mhm.
wrap paper for Christmas and stuff. Uh,
Right.
and but I was intrigued about the trips, all the places that my consultant had gone to. But then when I realized and added up that you needed to sell and you also need to sponsor a team, I made up for myself. I was like, I'm definitely not going to sponsor a team, because I just had this mental thing that I wasn't going to do it, and I didn't. So what I did is I created a little VIP group on Facebook, and there was about 9 of us in there. And I asked them, if they wanted to join in and on my orders, and they were like, sure. And so as Scentsy was sharing things like the warmer of the month, I got excited and started sharing, and people were placing orders. And I was like, actually, this is kind of fun. My job in the airline security industry was very stressful. I was responsible for all of the major airports in the United States, their training, and I reported to the president of our company. It was hard. So Scentsy was like a safe place for me to go to find joy with my friends. One of the things that I read, and I'm glad that I read in the consultant's guide, was how I could maximize my discount as a consumer was if I hit certified. So I joined in October 7 years ago. So my anniversary is coming up on the 20th. And
Oh,
I had set my mind to hit certified. So that way, moving forward, I would get the maximum discount.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I planned to fail. I want to share that too. I did not think that I would survive, the rejection. Like if I asked someone if they wanted to, order some bars and they said no, I felt like they didn't want to be my friend. I would crumble and be
Yeah.
embarrassed. So my plan of action was to sell the contents in my kit, the warmer, the bar, the scent pack or whatever, and make up my $99.
Right.
And then 3 months, I would just kind of pack up. Well, what shifted in that is everyone just was excited. They were happy. They wanted to come smell my scent testers. It was around Christmas. People were buying Christmas warmers and stuff. And I was saving up for a cruise. I didn't want to earn the Scentsy trip because I didn't want to sponsor, but I did save up enough money to take my family on a cruise. The shift came about, I would say 8 or 9 months later, when someone asked to join my team. I didn't know what to tell them. I didn't know how they could join, but I figured it out. And then another person, was referred to me, and I was like, sure. Well, because of that, and because of my sales, because they were increasing, I earned a trip to Cyprus. And when I went to Cyprus, that completely changed my view of Scentsy. I didn't know who the owners of the company, were. And there was just 60 of us there because I was partnered with Region 2.
Mhm.
And I met the owners of the company, and I was like, everything lined up with my moral compass.
Right.
I loved the products. And as I met people from Scotland and England, and they were asking my story, like you're asking me, and they're like, oh my gosh. So imagine if you actually put effort.
Right.
Imagine if went to events, if you went to World Tour or Scentsy Family Reunion, do you know where you could be? And I was like, I don't know where I could be, but I know I want to earn more trips because this is something that I could never pay for.
Right.
I could go to Cyprus, but I could never have this experience, the friendships, the way that we're treated, the room drops. So from that point, I went to my first Scentsy Family Reunion in Nashville. I went by myself. And I didn't know anyone. I walked around. I met people, while I was
Right.
there. But I met my sponsor, my now sponsor, because I rolled up to her, Carol Bishop Hauk, and I went to a
I
room.
didn't
And
even realize she was your sponsor. We were
yeah,
just talking about her in her interview that we did. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
my superstar director, she still is, but she, I rolled up to her
Mhm.
now. being my sponsor. And I was just like mesmerized by her story. And she really inspired me by just listening to her in the room. And I remember while I was in that room at Scentsy Family Reunion, going to her team page. Now, mind you, before all of that, I wasn't on any team pages. I wasn't in any flyer groups. I was completely disconnected. I didn't have a Scentsy shirt. I saw people yelling like Scentsy Spirit. I thought that they lost their mind. I was like, I'll never do that. Well, I'm doing it now. But I went onto her team page and I said, I'm going to be a director one day. And I just put that out there. It was scary because I think I had just promoted to star consultant. Well, literally 2 months later, I promoted to director in September 2016. And so that's kind of how my journey began with Scentsy. There wasn't, this, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be in this business. There was a lot of fear. I isolated myself. I didn't understand the magnitude of what this business could be. But what I did know, because I didn't have a financial investment in this, as I mentioned, I lived on base and I just told God, I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I know that there's women that love these smell goods. But I also know, being a military spouse, that there's a lot of women that go through a lot. There's different traumas and stuff. So I just prayed about the business and said, anyone that comes through my doors, to place an order or smell scent testers, I just wanted to pray over them. And I wanted this wax to be a ministry. As fun as it is, as great as it smells, I just wanted God to be able to use me through this wax. And he did. And he still does. But now at a different level. So that's where things kind of, took a turn when I started networking and meeting people and making friends and really understanding the Scentsy story and what it could be for my family and for my life.
That's amazing.
Thank
I love
you.
that. I love
Thanks.
that. So I'm assuming that your husband was supportive of that decision.
So yes, when I came back from Scentsy Family Reunion, I remember telling him, I was like, babe, this is something different. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I said, it's bigger than what I thought it was. And I was like, and I actually think I want to commit to this. What do you think? And he was like, well, whatever you want to do, I support. But there was nothing concrete, just like, whatever you want to do, And I was like, okay. And so I was like, I think I want to give it a little bit more time and attention. But what we did not know, and you're not going to make me get emotional. What we did not know was that a few months later, as I was on this journey, my husband, I remember taking my kids to the pool and I get a call from him saying, babe, I think I'm going to be med boarded. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, the military saying that I'm not deployable because I've had 8 knee surgeries. I've had back surgery, because he was a jet engine mechanic and he was just falling apart at an early age in his, I don't know if he was still in his 20s, but anyway, he wasn't. So, he ended up being med boarded. And what that means is after 16 and a half years in the military retired him and he was out of work. And here I was, kind of advancing with Scentsy, doing well in my other, career, traveling with the airlines and stuff like that. And I was like, it's okay. I said, because I have the airline job and I also have this Scentsy. And so maybe I can pick it up a notch with Scentsy and we can make up some of your income. But the military for our house too. We lived in base housing. And so that was the plan, was that he would retire out, find another career, which took him 8 months. And I would kick up Scentsy a notch. Well, what we didn't know was that I would get an email one day saying after 16 years of my job in the airline security industry, that I was also being laid off.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, God, like, I love you. I trust you. What's going on? Because I'm scared. I've never been scared. We went from making 6 figures together outside of Scentsy to now we have nothing. And so I was like, well, at least I have a roof over my head. Well, we get another email saying you guys have to leave base housing. You're not going to be active duty anymore. And you, your husband, your children, you guys have to vacate. And I was like, when? Now. It's like, okay. I was like, great. Well, I just earned top 100 with Scentsy, and I earned a trip to South Africa. And it didn't feel good because I was like, what does it mean to go to South Africa when you come home to no home? You don't even come home to a home. You don't come home to income. And at the time, my income was increasing with Scentsy, but it wasn't enough to cover a 6-figure, salary. Right. I was like, I can't go to South Africa because I need to be here. I need to work. I need to find, a house, all these things. But all this fear started resonating because it's like, how do you find a house when you can't show that you have income? You can't buy a house. So Scentsy Family Reunion was kind of coming up. And I was like, I can't afford to go, just all these negative thoughts were coming in my mind. And I remember we have a directors group, of course. And I remember going there, the post is still there, asking for prayers. I posted a picture of my husband and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, but I just know that I need prayers to get through this. And I need to figure out what I need to do with my Scentsy business. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up deciding to go to South Africa because at the end, God was like, well, it's free, at least you can enjoy that. And that ended up being my husband's retirement gifts. Like sometimes the spouses get a car, they get this after all their service and stuff. I had nothing to give, but I had this gift. And so while we were there, we had peace for a moment. And, and I was like, well, what about Scentsy Family Reunion? Because they say leaders are born at events and I need to help my team, become leaders. I can't afford airfare. And all of a sudden, I just really felt the Lord speaking to me saying, Theresa, you can't afford not to go. You keep saying what you can't do and you can't do this and should I do that or whatever, but I'm here to tell you that you can't afford not to go. No, you're not going to go by flight. You're going to drive and you're going to load up your minivan and bring your team and you're going to go to Kansas City. And I did. I went to Kansas City. I don't know if you went to that one, but I listened to Heidi Thompson, our co-CEO, and I listened from two aspects of my heart, from the business mindset, because I needed to pay my bills. While I was there, my house was being packed up and they were asking, where do we send it to? We were like, nowhere, like storage, because we have nowhere to go. And I was listening from the other side because I was like, it was almost like going to church, because I was like, I have always been a confident person. And I was like, I feel like a failure as a mom, as a wife. My children don't know what's going on. And we literally have nothing. My team's sitting behind me, next to me. And what they don't realize, I almost felt like a hypocrite because I'm cheering them on. But what they don't know is that I'm dying inside. My life as I knew it for 16 years was over. So I listened to Heidi give a speech about about her not having a college degree. I don't have a college degree yet either. And so she was like, whatever it is that's going on, say yet. And I sat there and I was like, I don't have a house yet. I don't have the means to pay my bills yet. I don't know how I'm gonna pay my car note yet, and I met Fly Girl, she was there.
Yeah.
Her experience about how she ended her career, in the military. And I just felt so pumped up from the business standpoint and spiritually, and then also just as a person. Mm-hmm. And I just was on fire. And I went home and I was like, honey, let's just go look and find a house. And he's like, but, and I said, no, there's no but. I was like, we're going to go find a house, And he went to a men's boot camp with our church. And he said, I just want to share something with you. He said, there was a guy that didn't know our story or what we're going through with Scentsy, with the military, with the airlines or whatever. And he just said that he saw this vision of this house and he saw 3 arches. And I was like, what did they look like? He's like, he just said that they were brown, like 3 brown arches. And I was like, is that our home? Like, what is that? I don't know, So anyway, we finally found a former military guy and we told our story and we're like, we've never missed a payment on our home, nothing. Please, can you trust us? We have savings, the whole 9. And he said, yes. He was like, me and my wife will let you rent this house. And we were like, what? So we called the movers because everything was being moved to storage, and the military is like, well, we're sorry, it's going to be stuck in storage for like 3 months because we can't just move you and just take it out the same day. And I was like, okay, well, if you can just put us on the list, we got this house. Well, we're in this empty house, and I remember sitting like on this little fireplace area, and I was in there by myself, and I just looked up, and Sarah, I saw 3 arches. I was like, what? I saw a big arch. I did. Like, I was just sitting there just thinking, God, like, I do have work. I do have Scentsy. And where some people might be like, that's not a real job. Well, guess what? It was for me. Mm-hmm. Like, it was, I would go to the store and I could look and see that, I got paid on the 10th and I had enough money to get food and, mm-hmm. and all the things that we needed. And the money was increasing. And I realized at that time that this could be whatever I wanted to be, that even though I begged God to allow me to keep that other job, he had something bigger. He's like, I know that this is what you want, but I have something even greater. And I even 3 arches for you. So there was one huge arch that went from, it separated the living room to the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then the the second arch was it was the walls, but it was an arched wall that led to the kids' bedroom and their bathroom. And then there was the third arch, which again was a brown wall arch that led to the master bedroom. And I called my husband immediately. I was like, "You need to come here. There's 3 arches." And he was like, "What?" And so he brought his little notebook where he was journaling from the boot camp. And I was like, God's going to provide. I get a message from Becca Levi. She's also a Superstar Director. I never met her. I followed her on Facebook and saw her story, and I looked up to her, and I was like, man, I could never do what she's doing or whatever, but she was a role model to me. And she was like, I have a retreat that I do every year, and I was interested in inviting you. And I was like, I'm not a big name. I'm out here struggling. I didn't even know how she found me, but I didn't even ask her. I was like, tell me what I need to do. And so she was like, my daughter, Callie, will get in touch with you. So Callie reaches out to me, tells me what I need to do, that it's in Florida. And I was like, God, I just went to a Scentsy family reunion, like barely made it there. How am I going to get to Florida? I know you're going to tell me I got to drive. I'm willing to drive, but it's 26 hours, not 13. Yeah. And I said, but it also costs $400. I was like, I know I don't have $400. So anyway, somehow I made payments. I figured it out and I got there and I learned so much. I learned so much over the course of like 4 days. And I met people like Jen Audette and all of these people. And I just took notes to pour into my business and into my team members. And I remember while I was there, I was like, Becca, how did you find me? Because why did I get invited here? I'm not a Jen Audette. I'm not an Anna Hughes. I'm not any of these folks, a Kelly Rashaw. And I think she said she saw my story in the directors group when I was asking for prayer. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Jesus. So there's so many people, and I know I'm leaving out names like Kelly Rashaw that I met in Cyprus, and Emily Goodneck, and so many people that just poured into me, that invited me to their team pages, that shared with me. And I just had this hunger and this desire, and it was almost like survival mode. Like Scentsy is fun, but I also knew that I needed to make up 2 incomes, and here I am. I'm a Superstar Director. And it's so hard to even believe that I'm saying that, because when all this started, all I wanted was like a little bit of money, maybe to get my hair done or to save up for a cruise, after 12 months or something, not knowing that God knew that I was a Superstar Director, that it was already written, that he knew that my husband would lose his income. He knew that we would be homeless, because after a Scentsy family reunion, we lived in a hotel on base because we didn't have a house to go to. But our life has completely shifted, Sarah. I know that that's all kind of like heavy.
No, that's great. As you're talking, I'm like, yes, like this is why I started this channel, because I want people to hear, like, it's so emotional and heavy, like it, brings tears to my eyes and chills to my body, but like, your story, it matters and it adds value, and everyone's story in our community is what makes our community the way that it is. And the response that you get, like, just like, Becca saw your story on the page, on the group page. Hold on, sorry. Yeah. Okay, we'll go play with your toys. No. I'll be done in a little bit. No. Yeah, don't. I don't want TV. Okay, well, give me just a minute. No. Yeah, hey, I'm doing a thing. I'm doing a thing. Love you. Go. Go. Sorry.
That's okay.
I usually do these while he's at school.
Oh.
But he doesn't have school this week or next week. So we're improvising. Because you don't go to school on fall break. On fall break, you don't go to school. That's absolutely right. You're right. Okay. I'll be out there in a little bit. So anyway, so I just, that's just why, like, I want people to know that there's something about it that's so much more special than other people realize, because there are people who don't appreciate
Yeah.
Our culture and our business, because they don't understand it, or
Right.
because they had a different experience. And
Mm.
so, hearing you share your story and how you literally trusted God and he brought this to you before you even knew that you were going to have those experiences is incredibly powerful, because so many people could be in your position right now that you were in and
Mhm.
not even understand that this opportunity lies before them.
Ab-
And so I think that is so powerful and so moving.
Thank you. I think sometimes we see people at the top and we might envy them or wish, that we could be there, but they don't always understand how we got here. And sometimes it's not relatable. Like being at the top's not relatable because, when I first looked at the compensation plan and the consultant guide, and I was like, that's not relatable to me. I don't think I have that in me. But if we let go of the fear, and that's what I always tell people, they're like, well, how do I do it scared? I was scared to death on this journey, scared to sit next to, people that have already arrived and made it. And my story wasn't their story. But I think there's also power in telling stories. The owners of our company, they're big into like music and sharing stories, because it's not our story. Like, sometimes we might be ashamed or say, well, that's my business and I don't want to put my business out there or whatever, but it's not. Is it really our business? When we're going through things, you never know what someone else is going through. You never know how your story or your testimony can impact someone else and change their life, because I know that's what was the case, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Um,
I did say that after, all of this, when I promoted, it might have been right before I promoted to Superstar Director. I promoted to Superstar Director in April of 2020. And we have since built a home. So we're no longer homeless. We're no longer renting a home. And we built a pool, and I say all that not to brag, but these were dreams that I never even thought, were possible. And the only thing different between what I'm doing now in this industry versus what I was doing in the airline security industry is it's the same work ethics. I have to get up every day. I have to be consistent. I have to lead a team. The only thing different is kind of the paycheck. I knew, in my last company, I got the same paycheck every single week for 16 years. I never got a pay raise ever. Not once. I got, a couple bonuses and stuff like that, but I never got a pay raise. And in this business, the difference is that, I get paid once a month, but it's also, in my opinion, based off of my work. If I don't work, I get a $0 paycheck. In my other company, if I didn't work, I still got my paycheck,
Right. Yeah. So what do you think was, hold on, Brantley, you have to be quiet. Either be quiet or go in the other room. This is the real life of Scentsy, right?
Yeah.
That I work from home, and my husband's a teacher, and so he's, at work, and I still get to do things that I want to do, even if I have a 4-year-old right here.
You have the business.
I try to make my channel as professional as I can. What?
I want to tell her what my name is.
Okay, tell her what your name is.
My name is Brantley.
Blantley. I love
Brantley.
Brantley. Oh, I love your name, Brantley. And I love your shirt.
Can you say thank you?
It's a Halloween shirt.
Can you say thank you? Say thank you.
I just got my mommy got my haircut.
I gave a little hair trim because it was nuts.
You look so handsome,
Brantley. Look like Flippin.
Okay, go on.
He's so cute.
I took him with me to boot camp when I went to boot camp, and that was an experience. He was 6 months old, and I think that was a really big moment for me too, where I was like, oh my gosh, like I can really do this with my family. Like, I don't have to sacrifice my family to be able to have something that I really want.
Absolutely.
And you know, that was really big for me. So
Yeah.
okay, so going back, what do you think besides this, besides the fact that you kind of didn't, you felt like you didn't really have much else to do, you know, much else that you could do until you poured into Scentsy. What do you think were the things that you did
Yeah.
that really made it successful?
Well, for one thing, when I, you know, realized that I wasn't going to be a failure, that, you know, the community really loved Scentsy and that it was really becoming a common household name. When I realized what I got into, I set the bar differently. You know, we have a minimum of 500 PRV per month. I have always hit 2,000, with the exception of the first 3 months, because again, I was just like a hobbyist or whatever. But I've always hit 2,000 PRV. That's my, because this is my full-time career. 2,000 again is my minimum, and I break that up into like 4 weeks. You know, and so for me, that covered my car note in the beginning. I was like, this is amazing, you know, my car note, and I still had some extra spare change. So that was one of the practices, and then it kind of increased, and I've always earned annual sales. I've never not earned annual sales. So I really feel like that is huge if you want to move up into, you know, a leadership level, director, star director, superstar director, because it's really something that's, you know, can be commonly achieved. And that helped me earn trips. It also helped me, you know, set these goals for my current leaders as well. So that was one of the things, was setting a different PRV measurement. The second thing was not ever missing an event after I realized the importance of them. Doesn't matter if it's directors boot camp, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We just made it to Superstar, you know, Director Summit, virtual, whatever. I don't watch a lot of TV, and that's something that my upline Carol shared. She was like, if I do that, then Netflix needs to write me a check for $600 or $200 an hour or whatever. So for me, if I'm doing laundry or doing the dishes or putting stuff in the crock pot, there's so much training out there, and I'm a sponge. I don't care if I'm in a wheelchair at 90 years old and I'm a consultant. I never want to stop learning, because I feel like the moment that I stop is the moment that I'm going to start, you know, going backwards. So whenever there's a learning opportunity, you know, instead of watching 2-3 hours of TV a day, I pour in podcasts. It doesn't even have to just be Scentsy related. It could be someone on the outside that I like to listen to, spiritual leadership as well. So that's a couple of things. As far as systems is concerned, a lot of my business has been generated online. So I have a VIP group that is very robust. I have about 450 VIP members in there, and there's such a balance in that group. The algorithm is perfect because I post about Scentsy, you know, whether it's the opportunity. I don't sell in that group at all. And my sales currently average between 4,000 to 5,000, sometimes 6. Oh, I'm not allowed to say, I guess the income disclosure is in there.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Amazing.
And it's, you know, through parties, virtual, you know, 30-minute demonstrations is what I do, but I connect with I love my customers, and whether they purchase every month or, you know, a couple times a year, you know, you know how you post little fun things on Facebook? My group is called Fun and Fragrant. And there's just a balance where I put like those little fun things in there, like for moms and stuff, and dads, because there's some guys in there too. But anyway, so that's a system for me, is, you know, using that VIP group as well to book my parties, and also, you know, for follow-ups and stuff. I'm trying to think what else I do off the top of my head.
That's really great. I mean, those are really awesome. My problem is I do watch a lot of TV. No, I love TV, and I actually, like, in the last like couple of weeks, I've just, because I didn't watch TV when I was sick, so I just thought like how much time there is in a day, and if you don't just watch other people's lives or their fake lives on TV, like you could get so much more accomplished.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a work in progress.
It is.
But I love that because, you know, what is going to bring value to your life? And I do think that for me, I have a lot of anxiety. So TV is a really good resource for me to kind of remove myself from anxiety. But when we escape what is stressing us out, or what's causing anxiety or not being productive, it can actually move us further away from where we want to be. And so I think it's really important, you know, like if you pull up a training video, you can't pull up a video like this where you're watching someone's story, because it's inspiration. You can be inspired. You can find new alternatives. I love what you're saying about your group, because that's something that I've been working really hard in the last few months, just trying to be more engaging with my group and more consistent. But again, like everybody's businesses are different too.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about interviewing too, and asking that question of what do you think has caused you to have so much success? Because everybody's answers are different.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really value. And I love that everybody can do it the way that they want to do it.
Well, and the other thing, I can't leave out my team. Also, you know, I spoke about my customers, but again, because my team is all over the world, you know, we connect on Facebook and also on Marco Polo. One of the things that I do want to kind of plug in here is when I promoted to director, again, I had this fear. I was like, well, I did it, but now I'm never going to get paid at title again. I've never not been paid at director title, star director title, superstar director title. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. I started seeing where I hit this growth of like a team of 60, and I could never get out of that 60, you know, because the will cancel list. It's like we would go hard and we would sponsor and bring all this new talent and great people on. And then we would have like 10 people on the cancel list. And I'm like, we're right back at square one. And that happened for months. And so I started again, you know, doing some research, and I came across Laura Godwin's Leap to Lead training, which is phenomenal. And so I started using that, and I was like, you know what, guys, we're going to have a little small group here. Meet Laura Godwin. She's going to be our professor for the next 4 weeks. And we did that for a little bit. And I started seeing that it was an IPA, because it does take time. You have to dedicate yourself to it, if that's what you're asking your team to do. And all of a sudden, the numbers started shifting from 60 to 80 to 100. And I'm like, God, what is happening here? Like, you know, we're still losing some, because that's the nature of any corporation, right? And so, you know, I started getting feedback from my team. They're like, well, why don't you do this? And I was like, because Laura is doing it, and she's doing a mighty good job at it. And so I finally bit the bullet and made my own YouTube and made my own content. And we called it Rise to Success. Some people were afraid. They're like, oh, no, I want to do these things, but I don't want to be called a leader. And I'm like, okay. But anyway, so we've done Rise to Success. Now we're a group of 1,400 and I don't know, 15 and growing. And so is doing this program. And so I don't care what program it is. I don't care what you because you see how the title, like it can play with people mentally. Well, if you call it this, then I'll do it. I'm like, okay. But whether it's that, there's so many programs out there, but it's so important that you also develop yourself. And again, when it comes to TV, I do watch some TV. I watch Teen Mom. I've watched that from the beginning. It's a pleasure of mine. Yeah. But anyway, but other than that, I really don't. I might catch the news to see what's going on in the world, but away from just Scentsy training, I want self-development. How can I be a better person? You know, because I want everything to just be money and PRV and GWV or whatever. How can I be a better leader? How can I be a better mother or whatever? And those are the things that I'm. So yeah, finding those programs and building up your team and your leaders and teaching them how to do that, I think is awesome as well.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so inspired by you. And all that you're saying. I think that you just have so much value to add. And that's, you say like, oh, I'm just a nobody, and I think a lot of leaders feel like that. Because for whatever reason, there are certain people who stand out or who maybe are more vocal, energetic, or whatever. I don't even know what it is. But it people are drawn to them. But there are so many other people who do so many amazing things who don't just sit around and talk about it. And I think that's so important, like I messaged someone the other day who said they didn't feel like they had much to bring. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what? Like I don't, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Especially to me, you're not gonna say that. Like there's just so much that every person has to give. And I'm guilty, saying the same thing. So I guess one of the questions that people have asked me to ask is, what is something that you feel has been your greatest success or your greatest accomplishment? And then what is something that you feel like maybe has been your greatest, I don't want to say failure, because I don't really believe that failure is failure, but your greatest challenge that you've had to overcome? And you've talked a lot about that already, but I didn't know if there was something different maybe.
So I feel like, I mean, off the top of my head, one of my greatest accomplishments since being with Scentsy for almost 7 years is building leaders in my team. Today we got paid. And what I always tell people is that, I'm not centered around the money or, oh my gosh, look at these numbers and stuff like that. I'm centered around the heart, and I'm centered around family values. And so the money and the GWV, TWV, PRV, it translates into lives and families being blessed, families being affected. Some people choosing to get out of debt. Some people, doing things that they only dreamt of doing. Some people taking care of medical bills. Some people being able to quit their job or getting laid off like I did and my husband did. That's what those numbers equate to me. And to know that I went into this, as a form of ministry, saying, God, I don't need the money. I'm good. My bank account's fine. He's like, all right, get ready. But to know and to see the excitement of their hard work and know that God used me as a tool, that's my greatest accomplishment. It's not South Africa, although I love that. It's not, Marco Island and all these other things, it's the people that I have been able to impact in my group and outside of my group. As far as my greatest failure, and this is self-development, is, gosh, how do I word this? Sometimes my passion, like you hear my passion coming out and stuff like that, but sometimes I want something for someone so badly and they don't want that. And I don't realize it and I don't pull back. And so I'm learning to grow emotional maturity in that area. And so I can say that that's been a huge failure of mine. And I've probably lost a couple people because of that. But I'm big enough to own my mistakes and to take the time out to change areas that I need to improve on. And so if there's some things that I could do differently in my business, I would have my emotions in check better, and understand, my team and their desires and their wants and their goals above what I want for them, and know how to respond. Like sometimes we have to, you're dealing with so many different personalities. And some are so sweet. And then sometimes what I've learned is that you never know what people are going through on the other end. So even if they come for you or they attack you, what I found when the smoke has cleared is that their life, something happened to them that was very traumatic, and tag, I was it. And I didn't have to respond the way that I did, even though, you can say you're right, they're wrong, or whatever. None of that matters. We're to be professional. And so I'm learning to grow in that area, and I've failed in that area, and it hurts me that I have. And so I'm hard on myself when it comes to that. But the good news is that I strive to get better. And now I'm learning when someone comes or attacks, it doesn't matter if it's a customer and that rarely happens, or a team member or someone on the outside, just on social media, to turn off your phone, turn off your laptop, walk away. And even though the act might be harmful, how you respond to it is what matters. And we can respond. One of the things I've learned from Heidi and Orville, I don't know how they do it, but it's what our Bible says, is to see the best in people and not be so quick to see the worst in them. So that's where I have failed, but it's also where I get up every single day and strive and pray to be better at.
I think that's beautiful. I don't know that that's a failure. I don't want to say that that's a failure, because you've learned, and I think as leaders, you're always going to have those moments where you've disappointed someone, or you want them to know that you're disappointed, not because of what you wanted, but because of what you feel they want or desire. And then when they walk away, is it because they're not confident? Is it because something's holding them back? Is it because someone's not supporting them? And there are so many things that we as leaders want to fix, and there are definitely times and people who, I've had walk away from me, and that is so hard.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve most of the time, and I want everyone to love me. So I have a really hard time with that. But I definitely feel like as leaders, you have to kind of know your boundaries, and you have to know, like, some people are going to want you there and some people aren't, and to know kind of when to step away. And I think that that's really, really challenging.
Yeah.
And I totally hear you in that, because I've certainly been there, and probably everyone else has too.
It takes a lot of growth and maturity. And one of the things I've learned is that I'm an Enneagram 2 with a wing 3. And so you can have a group of consultant A that just adores you and messages you like, oh my goodness, you've really impacted me. You've helped me with my confidence and blah, blah, blah. And then person B comes in and they're like, I can't stand you. Like, you did this. And I'm like, and for the very same reason. And so that's where we have to come in and say, know where our true identity is. Like, Scentsy is not our identity, and the responses of everyone doesn't shape our identity, whether they like you or dislike you. We just have to be authentically who we are. And then whatever that attracts and whoever that attracts, we have to accept, and we want to accept that. So, but again, I'm definitely maturing in that area.
Well, is there anything else that you want to share or leave our viewers with?
Goodness, what else would I want to end on? I just want to let everyone know not to give up, number one, on your dreams, your hopes, your goals, your aspirations. Don't fly in the dark in life and hope that you arrive at your destination. Turn the lights on. Create a vision for your personal life and for your business life. Be intentional for yourself. You deserve that. And when hard knocks come, because they're going to come at every level, don't be so quick, to pack up and quit. Anyone that has succeeded, Heidi, Orville, I mean, you can look at any CEO or anyone, they've gone through their fair share of hard knocks. But I believe those that are able to sustain their success are the ones that learn how to respond properly to those hard knocks. And they find different ways, you know, to navigate through them. One of the things I learned with my former company that still holds value to me to this day is, you know, with the challenges that we have in life and in business, you know, the door might close, right? But some people will stop at that closed door and be like, oh, it wasn't meant to be. You know, this is the end, or my journey, you know, the ride is over. But what we don't realize is sometimes there's a back door. When that back door is closed, you go through the windows. If the windows is closed, then you get a ladder and you go through the chimney. If the chimney is blocked, you see what I'm saying? So there's going to be blocks. And then when you finally get in, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, there's a reward when you finally, you know, get in. But I just want to encourage everyone not to look up and with envy, because sometimes I hear people say, well, I'm so jealous. I wish I had, you know, what you had, or I wish I was where you are right now. Look at it as an empowerment to say those who have paved the way are letting you know that it's possible to withstand the storms. The last thing I want to say is that our world is kind of chaotic right now, right? And we're all living in it, and we're all in this together, authentically together. And I want to encourage you, no matter what your aspirations are, just to be mindful of the world that we are in. Be true to who you are, but don't get caught up. You know, remember what your values are, whether you're a Christian, no matter what you are, whatever you say you are, don't get lost or caught up in the darkness, because there's still so much light. There's so much light. And so you get up every day and you choose what you're going to focus on and how you're going to respond to it. But whatever you do, do not give up.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I don't even know. I kind of got just away from all the questions because I just loved hearing you talk. Like I said, it's usually pretty natural. So I just want to say thank you for being here, for being willing, for opening your heart and sharing, because I know without a doubt in my mind that your story and your experiences are going to make someone else realize that they have the power inside of them too. And so I appreciate you. I'm so grateful for you. And just thank you. So
thank you.
all right.
And I'm so honored that you had me here as a guest. So thank you, Sarah.
I knew it was going to be amazing. I knew it was. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Theresa. And I hope that you guys have an amazing day.
Thank you.